Hi, everybody out there in cyberspace. My name is Sharif, and today I'm going to be talking about increasing your value in the market. So, the most common ways to do this I'm going to cover first. And those include, first of all, education, increasing your skills or practice, and third of all, experience. So, first of all, education. That's very common for anyone who's really serious about increasing value for themselves in the market will look into education. Now, some people make the mistake of only learning temporarily so that they can get a specific thing done and then just stopping there and then only going back to learn when they want to learn something specific. Now, there is a good aspect to that. Let's say you're working on a project and you want to dwindle the amount of information you're going to have to take in and reduce the waste in terms of learning by only going for the things you really need to know to get the job done. But in general, you want to also be educating yourself, not just for the specific reason of developing or finishing a certain project, but just for educating yourself in general on the things that are most relevant to you, depending on what kind of position you play and what kind of field you're in. Also, sometimes taking things that are a little bit different are good to kind of give you different perspective on what you're trying to accomplish. And then, of course, the next is practice. Practice makes perfect, right? Honing your skills, getting better at it. Let's say you have a bunch of different skills and you become more of a generalist operator. For example, you're a director or someone of that sort, or a coordinator, someone who might know a lot about all the different little things involved in the whole production or the whole process or the whole campaign, but you're not actually doing each micro thing. You're more dealing with the macro aspect of it. You're still going to need to practice being that macro leader, that position. You're going to need to direct several times to completion, several projects before you actually get to be your best at directing. You might be good at the beginning. Like I said, let's say if you're already an expert in many of those, or you're very good at many of the aspects required on the smaller positions, the less generalist positions, the more specialized positions. You're still going to need to direct a lot or do it a lot to get the best that you can be at it. Maybe your first thing is really good, or maybe it's not. Either way, you're going to need to practice. Because let's say it's perfect, and you feel it can't be done any better. Well, can you do something equivalently as good, but in a completely different way? And there's a new challenge for you right there. So there is really endless the kind of progress you can make even within the exact same field and the same position. So that's obviously the other main thing was practice. And then finally, experience. Now, experience is something that comes about from the combination of your education and your practice together, and how that applies, this is very important, how it applies to the market and your field, and how it connects with others, and therefore how it can have a foundation to grow from. So that's really key about experience. Now, those are the obvious things, and I wanted to bring up something that's maybe less obvious, but I noticed a pattern. A lot of successful people talk about it, and I also believe it's true, and I'm sure you believe it's true, whether it's in the front of your mind or very strongly or faded in the back of your head somewhere out there. You probably understand that it's actually the internal value, your inner value, that has the most impact in the end. Because if you don't have the internal value of humility, you're not going to be studying, especially not going to be doing it consistently, constantly, not just to some end, but constantly. Educating yourself without some form of humility there. If you think you know it all, you're not going to be educating yourself. So that's number one. Number two is, just to point what I'm talking about, is you're not going to practice, again, if you think you're the best. Once again, you have too much pride. Also, you're not going to practice if you're afraid. You need courage to keep practicing. So that value of courage actually ends up being more important than the practicing itself, because you need the courage to practice. I mean, maybe practicing more will give you more courage, but either way, that value is going to be at the heart of it. And also, you're going to need more humility in order to keep studying and learning better as well. Not just reading because you have to, or if you've been told to read, or just to get to some, personal benefit or interest, but to actually learn and grow and become a better person and more educated. And then finally, your experience is only going to come about through commitment, dedication, and devoted to that same place. And the more dedicated you are from the start, the more open you're going to be to everything involved, and the richer your experience is going to be. And the richer your experience is, that's where your value is going to come from. And with more value, of course, your business is going to have more value. Or let's say you're even an employee, you're going to have more value because you're going to be coming in earlier, going in later, leaving later if you have to, or you're at least going to do the most important things that have the most impact, if not more things, rather than many, many things that have a little impact. If your values, inner values, are there. Same with if you're a specialist. Let's say you're a contractor, or you specialize, or you're a sole proprietor or a small business. Once again, your values are really going to get your loyalty from those customers and clients. You might not be doing the kind of business that has a huge client base. And so it's really important that the clients you have stay, and the customers you have stay. And the more you increase your value, the more attractive your small business is going to be. The more appealing it is, the more people are going to get involved or be supporting you. And therefore, the more it can grow. And the more it can turn into a big business. And let's say you're a big business owner. Let's say you're not even the operator, but you're just the director, and you're telling the operator what you should do. You're still going to have to make the major decisions. Or let's say you are the operator. It's really important that you make the right decisions. And how are you going to make the best decisions? Well, the best decisions come from the best inner values. Once again, if you're practicing this long enough, and you're consistently educating yourself, and you have the experience, you'll understand that none of it is possible without that inner value. And finally, even if you're just an investor, okay, let's say you're not even running a business at all, not even directing it specifically, well, then your business is investing in different businesses. But you still need to know, even if it only takes an hour of your week, and that's all the work you do. I imagine it wouldn't be that little, and people who are that into investing will probably have more interest than that little work. But I'm just making an extreme example. You're still going to need to make the absolute best decisions, right? You're still going to need to know what to sell, or what to buy, what not to sell, what not to buy, and when and why, always. So either way, it's the same. By increasing your inner value, you increase the value of your work. When you increase the value of your work, you increase the appeal of it. When you increase the appeal, you increase the presence and potency of it, and the more impact, therefore, it can have. And the more you can, let's say, encourage others to either compete against you or to work in partnership with you. And therefore, the more encouragement you can have to do even better and to have even more of a better impact. For me personally, my highest value, and I think you should find your one highest value, for me, it's integrity. So the way I'm doing it for my business is to simply keep growing and increasing and enriching my integrity, and that will be reflected upon everything I do, which will in turn affect how my business is doing, which will in turn get other people to see the value. And the more I keep increasing that, the more that can happen, the more people can get involved, the more people will want to get in on this, because they see that this is going somewhere, and it's not going to really ever stop building and growing and doing something while staying true to its roots. So I hope that really helped you with how to increase value in your business, and that you can also see that, pattern that a lot of really successful people talk about, of that it's the inner value that gives you the real value. So on that note, this has been Sharif from productionhackers.net. Check it out for daily updates, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and goodbye.